Lux your way with the Lux Cravings boxes from Taco Bell. There's the classic $5 box, the indulgent $7 box, and a whole new obsession in the $9 box, the Flamin' Hot Grilled Cheese Burrito. Try the Lux Cravings boxes at Taco Bell today.
Find your sun with Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Cold, refreshing, and made for moments like these all year long. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons. It's more than a pool deck. Stadium Swim. It's the only thing like it in the world.
Check out the all-new Blue and Orange store at the Boise State Hall of Fame. The Blue and Orange store has your best game day gear. We're talking jerseys, hats, bumper stickers, car flags, more than 4,000 hats on the hat wall. If you want the best Boise State gear, make sure you check out the Blue and Orange store online at theblueandorangestore.com or the all-new Blue and Orange store down at the Boise State Allen Noble Hall of Fame.
How's your day going?
Going good, thank you, yes.
When I want Boise State to win, I trust Coach Rice to lead the Broncos to victory.
And when I want the best painting and garage floor coating, I trust rowpaint.com to get that job done right.
Really, guys?
What? Jackson's always has his game ready.
Let's go!
Hey Bronco Nation, this is Boise State football wide receiver Ben Ford. I've had to face some setbacks on the field this past season, but toughness isn't about staying down. It's about getting back up. I am proud to represent Lithia Ford of Boise, where you can find the largest selection of Ford trucks that are built tough and, like me, handle the hits and keep pushing forward. Come check out the incredible inventory and competitive pricing at Lithia Ford of Boise. And when you buy here, you're not just getting a truck, you're supporting Boise State athletics and Lithia Ford NIL partnerships. Come see us at Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
All right, Mike Prater. I forgot to play the intro, so I guess we're live here. Let's play the intro. We're teasing folks. We're going to be here in 2 minutes.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Bronco Nation News Live is the only daily show that talks nothing but Boise State sports. And we do it with you. Give us your comments or questions in the ICCU YouTube chat. Or leave us a voicemail on the Signature Roofing voice inbox at speakpipe.com/BNN. BNN broadcasts come from the Sun Cruiser Studios. Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. Crack open a Sun Cruiser and let the good times cruise. Bronco Nation News is presented by our title sponsor, Lithia Ford of Boise, and our major sponsors, Taco Bell, Idaho Central Credit Union, rowpaint.com, and the Blue and Orange store. At Lithia Ford of Boise, we're proud to stand with Boise State athletics. Through our NIL marketing partnerships, we're investing in the future of student athletes. Lithia Ford of Boise, here to get you there, wherever that may be. Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho. Broadcasting from the Sun Cruiser Studios, here's BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
All right, how we doing, Mike Prater? One of those mornings today. I had to get my Team USA sweatshirt on for the World Baseball Classic tonight. I know Mike Prater will be dialed in at 6 o'clock tonight. Do you know who the USA is playing tonight, Mike?
What sport are we talking about?
World Baseball Classic, first game tonight. Come on, Great Britain.
Yeah, never heard of it. Never heard of it.
All right. What's that hat that Johnny was wearing in the studio recently? Come on. I'm actually pumped for the World Baseball Classic, maybe more so after the Olympics and watching all that hockey kind of got the USA pride going here. And I know in the last kind of years, people thought the World Baseball Classic was kind of a gimmick. I get it, but it's not, but they're getting more and more real players. And Shohei Ohtani, I saw hit a grand slam last night in Japan, and that was a pretty cool scene there at the Tokyo Dome. And so USA plays tonight. Got my $95 sweatshirt or whatever it costed to put the Nike logo and the USA logo on it, but ready to go and excited for this show today. It was one of those shows that kind of crept up on me. I was editing some Leon Rice video, and I stopped hearing any commercials playing in the background and said, oh, crap, I think we're on. So here we are. But he's Mike Prater. He's in the Lithia Ford of Boise studios there at KTIK. My name is BJ Rains, and I'm in the Sun Cruiser studios here at BNN. We do this each and every day, 9 a.m., talking Boise State and whatever else is going on. And, Mike, we got the game tomorrow. We got the final day of the regular season. We got a little appetizer with San Diego State, UNLV tonight as well. That'll impact the seeding. But 4-game winning streak, and at least for right now, there's some hope in Bronco Nation, and it's a good Friday here. So how we doing?
It's definitely a good Friday. There's definitely hope with Boise State basketball. I'm not sure what that hope is or what it's going to lead to. I guess that's the great mystery and why they play the game. So at least there's intrigue. At least there's a little bit of drama. At least there's some kind of an emotional connection to this basketball team. And we're quite sure where we'd be sitting with this basketball team on March 6th. But there is something to play for tomorrow. And we'll see. I mean, tomorrow, in our meeting here at KTIK yesterday, talked about it as being just a massive statement game. Massive statement game. If they lose this game, it's kind of business as usual. Let's go to Vegas and try to figure things out as best as we can. If they win this game, I think they instantly become one of the leaders to win this tournament and accomplish what they've been trying to accomplish. So big statement game, and we'll see how it plays out. Can't wait to see it.
Yeah, what a difference 4 games can make, what a difference a month can make. It's been just quite the up and down season, and I guess if there's going to be ups and downs, you want to be on the way up going into the conference tournament, and they certainly are right now. What if the San Diego? I mean, first couple games, I get it was Wyoming and San Jose and Fresno, but to go on the road at Fresno, I think that was a little. We talked about it last Friday, Mike. That they were underdogs in that game, I believe. It was a game that wasn't it was going to be a tough game, coin flip type game to win. They win that game by double digits on the road, and then come home on senior night and lead from start to finish and pretty much dominate a San Diego State team that is not a typical San Diego State team. Let's not kid ourselves here, but they're still tied for second place in the conference and still one of the better teams on Boise State's schedule. What during this 4-game streak, and I guess in particular these last 2 games, what has kind of stood out or impressed you here?
Well, just the grit and the drive and what you would expect from a Leon Rice basketball team. You'll never see. I mean, you can criticize Leon Rice all you want, but there's never going to be a quit in this basketball team. And the way that they've come out and I keep thinking about those last 4 minutes against Utah State, the game that was in Logan, and the players looked defeated. Leon looked defeated, and it was really kind of rock bottom there. And at that point in the season is when we all had these conversations about where is this basketball program headed? Where is this team headed? Where is this season headed? That was a bad moment, and they've done a fantastic job of getting out of that. I don't know if they're sitting here playing. I mean, certainly they're playing better defense. Certainly they have found a nice 1-2 punch in Dylan Andrews and Drew Fielder. Even though Dylan Andrews probably wasn't great the other night, Fielder was absolutely spectacular. We all saw that, and it was a great shining moment of hope for this basketball program. But, let's see what happens. I still don't expect Boise State to go in and win tomorrow. I still don't expect Boise State to go on a deep tournament run. But at least there's hope. At least this team is fighting. That's all you really want. So it doesn't have to be a championship season, but I don't want to see a Leon Rice team fizzle out, peter out, and just quietly go to sleep. And I think after that Utah State game, we were all thinking that could happen, and it hasn't. And that's been really, really cool to see. So let's play the games and see what happens. But I'm kind of proud of this basketball team and how they're finishing and where they're going and what they got going on moving into the offseason.
He's Mike Prater. Again, you can hear him 3 to 6 weekdays, KTIK 95.3 FM, The Ticket. And my name's BJ Rains. I am in the Sun Cruiser studios here in Meridian. Perfect time this weekend to pick up a Sun Cruiser, whether it's the vodka lemonade, the iced tea lemonade, different flavors and options. Pick one up this weekend, whether it is for the USA game tonight or you got Boise State tomorrow. I'm doing the down and back in one day tomorrow, Mike. The 2:00 game works perfectly with the Southwest Airlines schedule, so you can take about a 7:30 a.m. flight tomorrow, land, rent a car, drive to Fort Collins, get there at noon. The game's at 2, and do a post-game show and leave about 6 and get to the airport about 7, and there's like a 9:30 flight back home. So may even have time to enjoy a cold one in the Denver airport on the way home. We'll see. But doing it in one day tomorrow and then home Sunday, because turning around Monday to head down, hopefully cover the women. That would be in the semifinals on Monday night. If they're still alive, they start their tournament tomorrow as the 5 seed. So we'll be tracking the women's tournament as well, but going to be a busy next week plus here for Bronco Nation News. I mentioned Lithia Ford of Boise, our title sponsor, Jim Sturk and Company. Appreciate them for their support. Could not do any of these shows, any of the coverage we have at Bronco Nation News without Lithia Ford of Boise and Jim Sturk. So whether it's a new or pre-owned vehicle, get out and support Jim Sturk, Lithia Ford of Boise. Return the favor. If you're seeing Spencer Danielson, Jeremiah Dickey, a lot of the players driving vehicles, they're courtesy of Jim Sturk and Lithia Ford of Boise. So return the favor. I know they're your studio sponsor there, Mike, at KTIK. You got the Ford hat on there, so we appreciate Jim Sturk and Lithia Ford of Boise. All right, a lot of comments in here watching from Minnesota. Appreciate that. Let's see. Finishing last-minute packing, then heading to Vegas in a couple hours. Let's go Broncos. All right, Melinda Draper is going to be down there for the women, it sounds like. On a good run. Let's keep it going. Go Broncos. Steinbauer Sports is watching from Iran. Okay, appreciate that. Hope you're safe and everything's going all right over there. Appreciate you watching from Iran. Tyson's watching from Lewiston. Not quite Iran, but we appreciate you as well. But let's see what else we Bob says, hope Prater's column is correct. Now, you did have a column on Drew Fielder. Hopefully, folks can go read that. That is behind the paywall, so hopefully folks will subscribe. With 50% off right now for an annual subscription. That's like $6 a month. And you can read Mike Prater's column on Drew Fielder. He'll have something for the Mountain West tournament next week. We'll have all the spring football obviously coming up. Hopefully in 15 days, Mike Prater's writing a column on the greatest season in the history of Boise State basketball when they're, in Buffalo winning a first-round tournament game or something after winning the Mountain West tournament. I mean, and we can all dream, right, Mike? But hopefully there's plenty of basketball still to go. But you can read Mike Prater's columns, including the one on Drew Fielder at BroncoNationNews.com. And you guys had him on the show earlier this week, and you kind of had some thoughts off that interview, Mike. And you're made, not to give the whole column away, but some of it did come from an interview that everyone heard on KTIK. He's saying the right things. All signs are pointing towards him coming back. Nothing is official, and you are hopeful, as is everybody in Bronco Nation, that Boise State can kind of anchor next year's roster around Drew Fielder.
Yeah, I think he could be a rock star, and I totally expect him to come back. Obviously, we don't know, and I'm not even sure he knows right now. He's focused on tomorrow. He's focused on next week, and that's the way he should be. But he's also a big boy and a pro, and he answered our question and said, yeah, that's the plan. I want to come back, and I don't understand why he would even leave at this point. So, he talks about family, and he's got so much family here in the Boise area. He's going to be able to make some money here. Could he go off and make $1 million plus somewhere? Maybe. But probably in a big program, in a big city. And I think he could set NIL records here in the Treasure Valley this offseason if he finishes this thing strong and does it the right way. That doesn't mean he has to go score 33 points and 9 rebounds and 16 of 18 from the free throw line and 3 of 4 from three-point range. Just play well tomorrow, get this team in a good position in the tournament, win a couple of games in the tournament, and then just be an offseason rock star in this town. I think he can push $1 million in this town. If you can get an NIL deal, and when I say NIL deal, we're talking NIL deal, and we're talking revenue sharing, and we're talking other sources of income. And those are completely different things, and it all goes into one pot, and it all becomes this big, massive pay for a kid like Drew Fielder who could push $1 million. I don't think any athlete around here has pushed that kind of money in terms of an overall package. I think he could be one of the more popular dudes on campus this entire offseason and be the big man on campus. So I'm excited for his future. I hope he stays. I think we all want him to stay. And I think it could be an anchor for a very, very important basketball season next year.
Yeah, and I totally agree with Brad's comment here. He says, don't feel like it would make sense to come home, be near family, then leave 1 year later. I mean, he's done the Big East, power basketball conference type thing, and obviously made the decision to come home. And let's be honest here, Prater. I mean, could he probably get more money going somewhere else? Yes. But is Boise State, based on what they paid him this year, what they're paying Dylan Andrews, what Leon Rice is hoping to do with the NIL budget next season, should they be able to pay him enough to see how his usage is and to see how he, as you said, could be a rock star in this town, dominate this team? I mean, I think there'd be a lot of reasons why it makes sense. I would be, I don't want to say stunned. Nothing should stun us in this business anymore, Mike, but I would be surprised if Drew Fielder left. I don't think you come all the way back, have the type of year that you did, just to say, okay, I'm going to take that extra couple $100,000 somewhere else and go to another situation where you're not sure if you're starting, you're not sure where you fit on the team, you're not sure about the town. You already did that. You came back. It obviously worked here. They give him the keys to the offense. I mean, you look at his usage at and obviously he's improved. And I think, the development coaches and, the coaching staff deserves a lot of credit for seeing how he fit in this. It wasn't just, oh, he's a hometown guy and he's 6'10", let's bring him back. His game fits their offense, and he was a player that they identified that would fit what they needed to do. And I don't want to say they stole him from USC, but I mean, he had committed to USC, changes his mind for whatever reason, and the day later, comes to Boise State and is able to get out of whatever he had signed or agreed to verbally or whatever at USC. But my long-winded, thought is that he's not going to go somewhere else and be able to just shoot whenever he wants, get 7-8 3-point attempts a game, take 15 shots a game. I mean, I feel like he can, I don't want to say do whatever he wants, but he's shown and proven and earned the trust of these coaches that, he can kind of do whatever he wants on offense right now. And I don't think he's going to have that freedom somewhere else. And you look at his numbers, how they improved this year, how they could probably sell him, how that he could be an even bigger focal point next year. 20 shots a game. I mean, just be a guy that could average 20 plus points and 10 plus rebounds a game and play 30 minutes. Like I would be pretty surprised at this point because that he would leave, because I think what he made this year, what you've heard he made, what I've heard he made, and you add a little bit to that or a decent amount to that next year, which I think they can. I would be surprised if he left. And I will say, with that said, that's a pretty nice starting spot for Leon Rice to build next year's roster around.
No, well said, and I totally agree. I got a question. I don't know what you can and what you have said in terms of what do you think? And I think you've reported some of the numbers that I've been sniffing around on. What do you think Drew Fielder is making this year? What kind of NIL revenue share package do you think he's getting at the end of the day this year?
Well, I will say this: at the beginning of the season, I don't remember if it was you and I'm not saying you're wrong or whatever. There was reports, whatever, that Drew Fielder was the highest paid athlete in Boise State history or whatever coming into the season. I've since been led to believe, and I don't know if it was something that was added on after the initial deal or what happened, but I've since been led to believe that that's actually Dylan Andrews that's making more. I would say Drew Fielder, I've heard maybe somewhere's in the $500,000 range. Does that seem accurate?
Yeah, I've been told the floor on that is about $300,000 in terms of the cash that he's making.
Okay.
He's got a housing agreement as well, and that could, that's part of the package too. I mean, we all know that Ashton Genty got a car and some cash and some housing, and this became this $400,000 package, whatever it was. And I think Drew Fielder's probably right around $500,000 right now when you include cash. When you include the housing, maybe they threw in a couple of other things here and there, a free hot dog from Jackson's every now and then. So I'm going to guess, based on what I've reported, that the package is probably right around $500,000. But that's not all just cash. So taking care of the house, taking care of maybe a car and all that kind of stuff. So
and I'm not super confident, and I'm not like 100% reporting that, but I agree. I would agree that if we're talking ballpark NIL range, Drew Fielder somewhere probably in the 350 to 550 type range somewhere. I would agree with that.
Yeah, and it's a fluid number, and yeah, I think you've reported some numbers. I've reported some numbers. It's an evolving thing. They don't really talk about it down there, and maybe we get some information here, get some information there. We know that Fielder and Dylan Andrews, I don't know how much cash they're getting or the entire packages. Those two dudes are probably worth in the neighborhood of about $1 million total. maybe get a little bit more if you throw in some of the amenities that they throw in here.
I would say it's definitely, from what I've heard, it's definitely over that.
Okay, so that's a good start, and let's give some of that money to Drew Fielder now. Let's take care of this dude. What I would like Boise, and I've said this about Spencer Danielson and his football team, and I understand the need to keep this kind of money quiet. In the real world, there isn't a boss that goes around and tells everybody what the employees are making. So I get it. It creates this kind of tension. It creates this kind of distraction that you certainly don't want in a locker room. But if I was Boise State, man, I would give Drew Fielder $1 million package, a car, a house, some cash, whatever. And I would promote that. I would promote that. I would put his name and face all over the billboards across this town. I'd put him on television commercials all over this town. I think Drew Fielder right now, if he can finish this season the right way, and it doesn't have to be miracles, it doesn't have to be what we saw the other night, but if he can finish this season strong, he's the most popular athlete on that campus right now. Find me a football player who's more popular than Drew Fielder. And I know it's recency biased. We all forget that against Fresno State, dude had 0 points against Fresno State, and he knows that he's got to be more consistent. But based on what we saw Tuesday against San Diego State, based on his potential, based on the fact that he could be the rock star of this roster moving forward, give him $1 million package and promote it, because that tells other student athletes that Boise State's in the game. Boise State's going to take care of you. If you could promote $1 million athlete and do it the right way, it's not. Sire Gaines isn't a $1 million athlete. Dylan Riley's not a $1 million athlete. Maddox Manson's not a $1 million athlete in this town. Drew Fielder, I think, can become that guy, and we'll see how it plays out. I wish Boise State would do it. They probably won't, but just promote the fact that you're in the game and you're being aggressive and you're taking care of your student athletes, and $1 million in Boise, Idaho goes a long ways. I'd promote the crap out of that if I could.
What do you make of Surf City Bill saying Drew Fielder next year making more than Leon?
No. I don't think that's even going to
be about 1.15 or something.
Yeah, I think it's 1.15 or 1.12. He gets that raise every year. So no, I mean, not in terms of cash. And Leon gets whatever. He gets cars and country clubs. I mean, I don't think he gets a country club deal, or maybe he does. I don't know.
They did before COVID. I'm not sure that ever came back.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. I think they took that out. But yeah, no, he's not going to make more cash than Leon Rice, but he could get a package that pushes $750 to $1 million. I really truly believe that. And when I wrote that column, I reached out to probably a lot of the same boosters that you talked to, and kind of put that ballpark together. And I didn't ask in terms of what he's making now, but what's the ceiling in terms of where this guy can get. I think he can get $1 million package, and I'd like to see Boise State promote that and push that and market its athletic department is, we take care of our athletes, and this is what we're doing right now.
And I always get cautious talking about this stuff because, as you know, Mike, sometimes people tell you stuff and they don't want you to say it, or they only tell you because they don't want you to say it. And off the record means different things. And you don't remember who told you when, at what point, and was it a booster? Was it a coach? You don't really remember all that stuff. And so, and as you said, they really don't like these numbers getting out and want them to get out. But I mean, there's I think it's fair to say that there's 5 or 6 players on this team right now making more than any of the assistant coaches are. I mean, Mike Burns, I think Mike Burns is he's the associate head coach. What's he probably making? 150-ish? I need to look at
I've never really looked at those numbers, but yeah,
I know they were in like low 6 figures, and I want to say with raises and things, if I had to go look at, I'm guessing Mike Burns making the 150 range. And I've been led to believe there's 5 or 6 players on the roster this year making more than any assistant coach makes. We're not at the point now where we're passing the head coach in terms of NIL, but we may not be far off from that. I mean, you talk about Drew Fielder, if he's pushing it this year, who knows what that means for next year, or who knows what that means for somebody else in the portal and what they try to do. And it becomes a numbers game. But and again, I don't know it's a weird stuff to talk about, but I will just put this comment on the screen. Dylan Andrews is around 800 to 900,000 according to BSU Bill. And all I will do is do this, Mike Prater. This is that's the low end of that number. That low end of that number is the number that I was led to believe was from a couple prominent folks was the range that Dylan Andrews. And again, it's not handing him $800,000 in cash. There's a lot that goes with it, all that kind of stuff.
That's the kind of thing that kind of bugs me. Everybody's saying he's getting paid $800,000. He's not. It's an $800,000 package, and it could. And I don't know the details of it. And I've been told that number does exist. I've also been told that number is a little bit lower than that. But is that a package of cash, cars, housing, whatever else the deal is. So, yeah, I can see it. I mean, Dylan Andrews came in from, UCLA. He came in with 1 year to play. So he had a little bit more leverage. Drew Fielder, at the end of the day, is going to make over 2 years. He's going to make more than Dylan Andrews. So he came in with 2 years to play, and that plays a role here. So, it doesn't matter. I mean, they're both making good money. They're both doing a great job. Dylan Andrews is going to go off and be a pro somewhere and make probably less money than he's making at Boise State. And hopefully Drew Fielder comes back and makes more money than he's making at Boise State right now.
Yeah. And I guess this is a bigger discussion this sounds like an off-season KTIK segment and BNN as well for the next couple of weeks, but they're going to have some decisions to make too on some of these other guys because, I mean, is a Pearson, I mean, inflation, raises, like we're talking professional, stuff now. And are you going to give quote unquote raises to some of the other guys on this team that are probably going to ask for it? And I think that's going to, when you only have a certain budget, and we'll see what it ends up being next season, like they're going to have some decisions to make. I personally am not ready to give up yet on Pearson Carmichael. I think he had a rough year. I think he didn't shoot nearly as well as he could, but I would hate to see him go somewhere else and then see him revert to the form that we saw at the end of his freshman season. You could say I'm a bad talent evaluator, move on. He can't play any defense, whatever that's fine. But if I'm a GM or I'm a, whatever, looking at this from a perspective, and I don't know the money that we're talking about. So if he's wanting to double the raise, then maybe you say no thanks. But Pearson Carmichael for me is a guy that I'm not ready to give up on yet. And I'm not sure I'm ready to give up on Andrew Meadow yet either when he's got 1 year of college left. I think he's a guy. And I mean, but then you have Keene and you go down the list here. There's just not money to, you can't keep them all. I don't know if you can with the budget and with playing time and needing to have some sort of change to improve this roster. So it's going to be a very interesting, important offseason. And I find it interesting, Mike, that you've talked a lot about AJ Few and sitting next to Leon on the bench in the roster. And, one of his job titles is NIL, and roster construction is part of kind of under what he does. And so for a first-year coach and a guy, a young, and I mean, I don't think it's unfair to say inexperienced coach, even though his dad is who he is, I think it's just going to be a very interesting offseason in terms of how they build the roster, how much money they have, how much they decide to invest in. I mean, we've talked about it with Spencer Danielson. He would prefer to spend all of his money on keeping the players that he has and rewarding them and keeping them and roster retention. How much of the budget is Leon Rice going to want to spend on keeping the players they have versus trying to go out and bring in new players?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And we won't know the answer to that, but we'll certainly watch it evolve and be on top of it. Without, nobody knows the details, but I think I sense a pretty significant amount of changes coming to this basketball team this offseason. And I'm not saying it's because things are bad and you have to kind of blow it up and start it over again. I just sense the way this roster looks right now, there's going to be some changes. There's going to be changes to this coaching staff, I think, as well. I really, truly believe that we may see some significant changes to this entire program. Not a complete rehaul. I don't want people to take that and exaggerate that, but 2 or 3 or 4 of these players that we're talking about are probably going to be gone. I think Leon's going to have to kind of reinvent his roster a little bit, and maybe that's the norm moving forward. Keeping the RJ Keens for 3, 4, 5 years every year is certainly not.
Did you hear that?
Oh, I did. It's screaming in my mind. It's screaming in my headphones.
To cough, and I think I hit like a machine or something. I don't know what that was. Sorry, I hit the wrong hotkey.
It's but yeah, and I believe that there'll be. And I had this conversation with a couple of boosters last night, a couple of insiders, or however you want to call them. I think there's going to be change, at least one kind of change on the coaching staff, and I don't know if that's at the bottom of the coaching staff. I don't know if it's at the top of the coaching staff. I see the AJ Fews of the world. I see the Kobe Carls of the world, and I would like to see some change. I hope there's going to be some change with the coaching staff. I think it's time to mix it up just a little bit. We talked about that with Spencer Danielson. 2 years ago, he bragged about keeping all of his assistants. At the time, it seemed okay. It seemed like the right thing to do. Well, this past offseason, we were all calling for change, and he went out and changed 30% of his coaching staff. I like that. I like that kind of fresh approach. And Boise State basketball has had the same staff for a long time, and that's a good thing. And I'm not criticizing anybody, although I do question the inconsistencies of this offense. I'm not worried about the defense. They've had a little bit more of a difficult year, but they're going to get a grasp on that, and they've been playing much better. But the offense still drives me crazy, and maybe you take a couple changes, take a couple looks there. So let's see what the changes are. Let's see how Boise State plays for the next 10 days, and then it's going to be a crazy, crazy, crazy offseason.
All right, I want to continue this discussion here in a minute, and I got soundbite I want to play for you, Mike, and get your thoughts in just a second here. But first, do want to thank Lithia Ford of Boise. Mentioned them earlier, but our title sponsor at BNN here, Lithia Ford of Boise. They got Ben Ford. They got Roger Carrion. They got Matt Wagner on NIL deals, some female student athletes as well. Kenzie McMillan still doing stuff for them. So you're looking for that newer pre-owned vehicle, get out to Lithia Ford of Boise online, lithiafordboise.com. Mention Sun Cruiser. Get out to Jackson's, get out to Ridley's, get some Sun Cruisers for the weekend, whether it's iced tea vodka, lemonade vodka. If you're going to the Mountain West tournament next week, hit me up. I'll meet you at Circa. First Sun Cruiser at Circa is on me. How about that? That's where I first had Sun Cruiser, was down at Circa. And if you're staying at Circa, that's great. If you come over and hang out at Circa, would love to meet up with some of you guys down there. First Sun Cruiser's on me. Reach out to me and we'll make it happen. Sun Cruiser. Hey, there's Peanut Carmichael, Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. There's a branch pretty much on every corner, but the easiest is that mobile e-branch online banking right there in your smartphone. Idaho Central Credit Union. You don't realize what you're missing out until you make the switch and realize what you wished you had some of their great features before. And they donated $25 for every made free throw at Extra Mile Arena this season to the Idaho Youth Sports Commission. It was 26 made free throws. I think my math was at $650, I believe, from the last home game. So we appreciate Idaho Central Credit Union and their support of the Idaho Youth Sports Commission. Mike, I went not once but twice and got my 75-cent fountain drinks at Jackson's yesterday. The Broncos scored their 75 points on Tuesday. So 2 days later, got the 75-cent fountain drink at Jackson's. If the Broncos tomorrow can get 75 points, you can get out and get a 75-cent fountain drink on Monday from our friends at Jackson's. And don't forget, they have the 99-cent coffee or hot chocolate as well using that Let's Go Rewards app. 99-cent hot chocolate or coffee from our friends at Jackson's. I already saw the comments coming in about Taco Bell. TacoBellWorks.com, the SON management group. Tyrese saying the Cantina Crispy Chicken Taco Friday. Yeah, that sounds pretty good to me. The Cantina Crispy Chicken Taco, one of the many great new menu items at Taco Bell. Treasure Valley Taco Bell location. I know Prater has to deal with Johnny's Taco Bell smelling up the office there multiple times a week. Taco Bell, we appreciate them for their support. Visit a Treasure Valley Taco Bell location today. All right, Mike, there's always kind of a turning point in the season and things happen, whatever. And I think I've mentioned this before, but I don't know. And maybe it was a day you were on. I don't remember this, but I've never really dove into it too much. And I'm writing about it today as kind of a preview for the game tomorrow. And I went back and found a couple sound clips about this, but there was a moment before the first time they played UNLV. They had lost 3 games in a row. They had just lost the 2 horrible games at home. The rock bottom kind of moment. They were going down to UNLV on a 3-game losing streak, and they ended up losing the UNLV game. But I think if people actually look back and remember, the offense looked much better in that game. It was actually a much better performance. They lost in overtime. Javen Buchanan did not play in that game, and Dylan Andrews had the cramps and didn't play in overtime. And even though they lost a tough overtime game at UNLV, it looked much different than the 2 blowouts against the 2 previous games, and obviously the triple overtime game. So the 4-game winning streak after that, the 10-3 stretch after that, didn't start till after the next game. But even in that UNLV game, there were some signs it was about to turn, and then it did. They're 10-3 since that loss to UNLV that on that 4-game losing streak. They're obviously on a nice stretch now, and there was a moment in a team meeting before that UNLV game. Do you remember? Have I talked to you about this, Mike?
I believe so. I believe I know where you're going.
Okay. All right. So there was a morning meeting, day of the UNLV game. Team walks in expecting to watch some film, and there was all the chairs put in a circle. And Leon Rice had put all the chairs in a circle and had a basketball sitting in the middle of the room, and basically pulled out one of his old coaching tricks or however you want to phrase it. And instead of watching film, instead of talking about UNLV, instead of talking about the game tonight, he said, you're going to pass the ball to somebody, you're going to stand up, you're going to go to the middle of the room, and everyone's going to say something they like about you, respect about you, and then you're going to pass the ball to somebody else. And it sounds kind of elementary, schoolish, childish, whatever, like very basic to say something nice about a teammate. But for guys that, maybe some are friends, some aren't, whatever, to hear maybe some don't even talk to some guys, who knows, like to have to hear somebody say something about you. I thought, it was an interesting timing of that. And that does kind of line up with this team kind of offensively moving the ball much better, playing much better. And I found a couple sound bites about that, Mike. Listen to these sound bites and then tell me if I'm making something out of nothing, or if we could have maybe, when the book's written about this team going to the Sweet 16, did we find our turning point here?
I mean, it was dope. Coach Rice called us into a room. We're thinking that we have film getting ready for UNLV. I think it was the day of the game too, actually. And so, everybody's mind is on the game. We think we got film, but we walk in the room and it's chairs like in a circle. So we're just thinking like what is this? What's going on? And then I remember we had a ball right in the middle of it, and Coach Rice wanted us to pass the ball to somebody, or the person who has the ball stands up, you're right in the middle, and pretty much everybody says something they enjoy about you, something that they like about you, something that what you respect about them pretty much. And, people start talking about for example, like Drew Fielder, we talked about his grind, his work ethic. We love how you stay true to yourself, stuff like that. And it just went all around the room from players to coaches.
Well, the tough times that you're going to go through, that's when you've got to double down on culture. And that's what we, forming this team, getting appreciation for what we get to do, getting appreciation for each other. And, those are important parts of our program and our culture. And, that's why our team get better as the season goes on. And that's what you're seeing with this group. They're appreciating each other. They're working for each other, and our assists have gone up. Our efficiency on offense has gone up, and that's the synergy that you're seeing with, good culture. But good culture doesn't just happen because, hey, we recruited some good guys. We hope their culture. You have to work at it every single day, and there's a lot of things that I've done over the years that I'm like, oh, that was really good, and we got to keep doing those things. And that's what you simplify, and you focus on that, and that's what makes for a good program.
I know they appreciate it.
I mean, just talked about my approach to the season, just how me dealing with my injury that made me out for 3 months, being able to come back the way I am. We know that it didn't go the way we wanted to start off the season, but they're just loving how I'm always positive about everything.
Was there anything, you guys are all friends and stuff, but to be in a room like that and officially have everybody kind of speak up in front of the whole team about guys and stuff, is there anything about that you think was it just kind of random, or do you think kind of changed some things or led to kind of the streak you guys are on?
No, I believe they helped for sure, because you learn things that you didn't know other people were thinking about you. And also, I just feel like it builds team chemistry, and that's one thing Coach Rice is big on, is making sure the teams are close.
Well, I think it's really powerful because every guy on this team has an important role, and sometimes you don't feel appreciated for that, or sometimes you don't know how appreciated you are, and that's usually more the case. And to have young men be able to air those feelings is pretty powerful, and something we've done. I remember there's been a lot of moments where you're like, wow, that was really emotional and it changed some guys' careers. It changed some guys' lives. To this day, some of those players talk about some of the things that happened to them in those kind of moments.
All right, Mike, you've given Leon Rice some credit. He's done a good job this year. We heard yesterday, I think it was, you guys had a big segment about that, and you've been pretty outspoken in that, even though maybe the record, the season hasn't gone the way a lot of folks wanted here. You still think Leon Rice has done a pretty good job coaching this team. What do you make of kind of what you heard there? And is that just kind of fodder, fun little story, or do you think there's anything maybe to the run here?
I said 2 months ago on Idaho Sports Talk that Leon Rice is coaching his ass off and having one of his best coaching seasons ever. And I took a beating here at Idaho Sports Talk. I've said it several times since. And yesterday we did a full segment on Leon Rice. I think Leon Rice has had a spectacular job, and I have no problem sitting here. I've called for Leon Rice to be fired before, and I'm not sure if anybody else in the media has done that. That's not this year. And so I have no problem being real true and real honest about my assessment. Whether they're right or wrong, that's for you guys to decide. But in terms of my feelings, my reporting, my assessment of this basketball team, I think Leon Rice has done a hell of a job. And I put together a list of about 12 or 13 things that I think he's done this year to prove that he's done a hell of a job. He's grinding and doing all kinds of stuff, changing so many little things, changing so many big things. Can we micromanage what he can do and how he coaches during a game that maybe the press or an inbounds pass or a stagnant offense? Yes, we're always going to be able to do that with Leon Rice because he's a coach with flaws, but I think he's a coach who's had a spectacular season. And I firmly believe that more than ever. And you can see the results of that right now. I'll go back to what I said a couple weeks ago in terms of this team and whether they like each other or not. A lot was made, including by you, about how this team does or doesn't like each other. And the context of what I said in those comments has never been repeated. I talked about this team being a bunch of paid professionals who go to work and who are proud of the job that they do. But sometimes you go to work and it just doesn't click. And I think that there was a time, I know that there was a time, and you've even reported a dust up at practice, a couple of dust ups in the locker room. Leon Rice doesn't put the guys in a circle and has a kumbaya meeting when everybody else, when he senses that maybe everybody else is kind of not on the same page. So when you're 85% on the same page, Leon Rice wants you to be 100% on the same page. And he brings them all together, and you can see the results of that now. These guys are playing more like a team, playing more efficiently, helping each other out, moving the ball on offense, passing the ball on offense, which is the number one important thing with this basketball team, is a motion offense and not being stagnant. So I truly believe that there were little tiny issues. I never once said this team hates each other. I never once said there's chemistry issues. Just paid professionals going to work, and they just don't like each other. But they've got it back together. And whether it's Leon Rice, whether it's senior leadership, whether it's guys just getting together and saying, let's finish, I truly believe that's happening, and that's a good thing. I can see good things happening with this basketball team, and I truly believe that Leon Rice is having his best coaching season ever, psychologically, physically, X's and O's wise, and I can't wait to see how they play out this season. I don't expect them to beat Colorado State tomorrow, but I expect them to win a couple of games in Vegas and see if they can get this thing on a deep run.
And I know you're not a big analytical guy. Some people are, some people aren't. They mean different things, whatever, when it comes to different sports, whatever, Mike. But, Bart Torvik is one of the main college basketball, numbers guys. He's kind of similar to a Ken Palm, and he does a lot of analytics and things and looks at offensive efficiency, defensive efficiency, all the different things like that. And the great thing about Bart Torvik's website is you can sort the data for different time periods, not just the full season. And you go back to the day after that, you go back to the day that their 4-game winning streak started, right after that loss to UNLV. It was a home game against Colorado State, I believe, that started turning the tide. January 16th. We're talking almost 2 months. I mean, it's like 7 weeks, Mike Prater, since January 16th. 13 games, so it's not like a small sample size here. Analytically and just the way they're playing, Boise State is playing as the best team in the Mountain West since January 16th, according to Bart Torvik. They have the most wins, 10. The next is Grand Canyon with 9, Utah State with 9, Colorado State has 9 also, but Boise State at 10-3. So just on paper, it's the best record, but he also has them just according to all of his numbers. And again, Bart Torvik his numbers are now on the NCAA tournament selection sheet. Like, he's not just some blogger. He's one of the main guys that they now do consider when they're putting these things together. Over an 7-week stretch here, Boise State is playing as the best team in this conference, and that's one of the reasons why, Mike, regardless of what happens tomorrow, I think fans should be going into next week saying we have a chance. Like, what I would at least be excited. I'm going to be excited to watch these games next week, not knowing what's going to happen, and whether it was after the Utah State game 2 weeks ago, whether there was multiple times during this season where people are ready to give up and it's not happening and the team's falling apart and whatever else. No, this is a 7-week stretch here where they've been playing at an elite top of the conference type level. And I think fans, rightfully so, I'm not saying they're going to win. I'd be surprised if they won the whole thing. I don't know if I'd be more surprised if they won it or lost in the first game, but I mean, anything could happen. Nothing should surprise us with this team at this point, Mike. But regardless of what happens, I feel like there's hope and excitement going into next week, and that's all a lot of folks really could have asked for.
Well, yeah, but what if Boise State loses tomorrow by 18? I mean, you could sit there and spin. I don't care about. You're right.
I would put him in the 8th seed, which would have to play Utah State in the first game, probably, which would not be ideal. Yes, my thoughts would change if that were to happen. Yes,
you're right. I'm not an analytics guy, and I'm not even sure who you're talking about there, nor do I care who you're talking about. I can see it with my own eyes. We can all see it with our own eyes. Boise State basketball is playing fantastic the last 13 games, and they're playing much better, and based on some of the stuff that we have seen. But, the reality is we're still not completely convinced, and we could watch Boise State go to Colorado tomorrow and lose by 18 points and then go into the Mountain West tournament, and they could lose their next 2 games and be done. And that wouldn't surprise us. They could end up in the Mountain West championship game. And I don't think that would surprise us. I'd be surprised if they won the whole damn thing, even as well as they're playing right now. That's a tough ask to go out there and win 4 or 5 games in a row against, let's face it. I mean, the Mountain West is crappy this year. And it's probably gotten worse over the last month. It's certainly wide open. It's parity. There's great excitement. The Mountain West tournament's going to be better and more entertaining than it's been in a long time. I'm excited for that tournament just to watch it. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I think it's going to be a fantastic tournament because it's so wide open. So yeah, let's just see how it plays out. This basketball team has us on its heels. This basketball team has us on its edge of the seat. It's taken us for this crazy wild ride. It's been a really, really fun season. It's been a challenging season. Leon Rice has probably had one of his most exhausting seasons, going home and what's going on and just grinding and working his ass off like he's never worked before. I can see all that stuff happening, but we all know the reality is this could be 1-2 games away from the end of the season, or maybe they go on this nice, beautiful, magical run. And I cannot wait to see what happens with this offseason in terms of, do they decide to go to some postseason games? Is the roster going to stick together? Is everybody going to scatter? And we're going to have to, so many different scenarios on the table. It's going to be a fascinating next couple of days, next couple of weeks, next couple of months.
And the seeding possibilities really are pretty drastic, Mike, when you think about tomorrow's game. You win the game, and there's other things that could happen. Tonight's game matters. They need San Diego State to win. Obviously, I think they would need Utah State to win tomorrow and some other things, whatever. But if Boise State wins tomorrow, largely they're going to have a path that includes San Jose, the 11th place team in the first game, and then some combination of New Mexico and San Diego State to get to the championship game. You're 3-1 against those 2 teams, San Diego State and New Mexico. If you lose and you're the 8, you're likely going to be the 7 or 8 seed, and the 8 seed is looking most likely if you lose, and that means your path is a Grand Canyon and Utah State that you've lost 4 blowouts against. So I mean, a win or loss tomorrow, not just for momentum wise, but for the path you're going to have, really is an important game.
Statement game, huge statement game. That's how we opened up the show. I don't think you can psychologically might be more important than the seeding in terms of, and I'm not talking about the fans and how we feel about it. I'm talking about that roster and those coaching staffs and how they feel when they get back on that plane tomorrow and fly home. Are they going to be just completely thrilled and full of confidence, or are they, I suspect at the end of the day, probably Boise State loses a very close competitive game, maybe 6 points or whatever, and probably come away feeling decent about themselves. But hey, if they win, that would be fantastic. If they get blown out, we got some mental issues going into Vegas next week. So many different storylines. That's what makes this season fascinating. It's been a really fun season, guys. Fun seasons don't always have to be 32-0 and a dominant march to the championships. I've loved the way this team has gone up and down and the grinding. And every time that you get, it's like a Frazier Ali fight. Every time somebody gets knocked on the ground, you get your ass back up and you get back at it and you win a couple of rounds. It's been that kind of a fun basketball season. Probably the kind of season that, even though it kills him emotionally and mentally, Leon Rice is probably, because you know what Leon Rice is like. He's a grinder. He's the kid that shot himself in the knee when he was a kid in Central Washington and rubbed some dirt on it and kept running around in the desert and playing, because he's a fighter and he's a grinder, and that's exactly what his team is doing right now.
Well, I've said this the last week, Mike, and I'll say it, and it hasn't been a bad season. They had a bad 2 weeks, and I'm not saying it's been a great season. It hasn't been a great season, but a lot of people that have just continued the negativity and all this, another year missing the tournament, all this, and I'm not making excuses, not making up for it, but I mean, you look at the reality of the situation. They were 9-4 to start with, had a couple of great wins, had 4 straight losses, blowouts, 2 in overtime, and then they're 10-3 since. You look at their kind of overall season, if they just hadn't had that 4-game losing streak in the middle, they'd be having a season that probably has them either in the tournament or at least on the bubble. I mean, even if they go 2-2, if they win those 2 overtime games, or if they win one of the 2 home games against Grand Canyon or Utah State. And I know it's what ifs. The record is what it is. The games count. I totally get that, but it isn't like it's just been some season-long horrible season. It really hasn't. They've had some nice wins. It's been a nice season. They just picked a bad time to have a horrible 2-week stretch, and they've been trying to dig themselves out of it and obviously haven't done enough. But you know what? Utah State, I think Johnny said it on your show yesterday, Utah State, New Mexico, San Diego State, their fans, they were all feeling really good about things until about a week or 2 ago. And now they're arguably more frustrated than Boise State fans are. And guess what? All of those teams are in the exact same spot Boise State is in, having to go to Vegas probably to win the tournament to get in. And so maybe they had better first 4 months of the season or whatever, but they're right there in the exact same spot as Boise State here with a week to go, with a game to go. And so going to be fun, going to be exciting. Looking forward to getting down to Vegas, although I don't know if you saw the Jeff Grammer and Mark Ziegler tweets last night. They moved our media seating. Mike, we're not courtside anymore. Come on.
Oh, BJ, you get free seats and free food, and you're bitching about being moved. Come on, man, be better than that.
Well, I wasn't bitching nearly much.
I don't like the media bitching about where their media seats are. So if you go to the SEC, dude, you're in the rafters.
Yeah,
you're in the rafters. So
the only I wouldn't say I was bitching. My only point was that it would have been nice to give us a heads up, let us know in advance.
It no offense, dude, but when a media guy sits out there and starts bitching about their seats, it comes across as bitching.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. 13 years in the same seats. I think a heads up that you're changing your policies, instead of letting the schools know, I think would have been a nice way to do it. But we'll see. We're behind the basket, so we'll see what it looks like and what the coverage looks like.
You'll be just fine, BJ.
Yeah.
You'll be.
I assume we will. I assume read some of the other media members. They were much more stronger about it than I was. I just would have liked the heads up. That's it. But Mike, I think I'm joining you at 3:15 today due to the you guys are off early, I guess, because of the Steelheads.
We're working through the show today, so we'll figure all that stuff out as soon as we get done out of here. So yes.
Okay. I believe Greg told me I was 3:15. So whatever time you guys need me, I'll be ready to go. And looking forward to joining you guys today, and looking forward to getting over tomorrow to the game. Should be a fun one. And then obviously the conference tournament coming up next week. So they'll have you covered on Idaho Sports Talk 3:00. And we'll have you covered on BNN as well. So Mike, I'm going to keep this going, but appreciate you. And we'll be listening today at 3:00 on Idaho Sports Talk.
Safe travels tomorrow. Go Boise State. I really would like to see them win this game tomorrow. That'd be a lot of fun, and we'll see how it plays out and get some momentum. And let's have some fun next week in Las Vegas.
All right, appreciate it. There he is, Mike Prater. Appreciate him for jumping on. As usual, as we talk Boise State with Mike every Friday here on Bronco Nation News. His column on Drew Fielder. You can go listen to that. That is up at BroncoNationNews.com. You can read Mike Prater's column about Drew Fielder and his thoughts on his career and his future and whether or not he's going to come back next season. And looking forward to that. The offseason is going to be a very interesting one for Boise State basketball, and certainly have a lot of decisions they're going to have to make, but certainly some games still to be played, and looking forward to that and seeing what happens, obviously, with that moving forward here. I see our friend Paulie Pepperoni is back in the chat. Little surprising, they've won 4 in a row, and then he decided to come back. Nobody is saying it's a great season when you convince yourself the Hawaii Pacific game never happened. Nobody is saying that, Paulie. I love that you just kind of put words in people's mouths, but nobody would ever say that. Even if you take that loss out, it has not been a great season. You're not going to the NCAA tournament. You have 10 losses or whatever it is. You're in 8th place right now in the conference standings. Nobody is calling this a great season, even if you hadn't lost to Hawaii Pacific. That's one of the many games on the schedule, but nobody is saying that. Excuse me. Yes, I am going to Colorado tomorrow morning. Flying Southwest tomorrow morning, and then we'll be there, and then coming back tomorrow night. So yes, Bronco Nation News will be in courtside, Fort Collins, Moby Arena, 1:00 pregame show tomorrow. 1:00, we'll be live, and we'll be excited and ready to go tomorrow from Moby Arena. Going to be a fun one for Boise State and Colorado State. They've won 8 in a row, and let's see. It seems like we could find a couple more bad weeks if BJ wasn't having lunch with Leon today. We have interviews at 12:30. we get to go down and have interviews before practice. Does that count as lunch? I guess if I bring a granola bar or something, or if I bring an apple while we're doing the interview, does that count as having lunch with Leon Rice? Maybe it does. I don't think I've ever in my life had lunch with Leon Rice, so that's very funny, Paulie. And I guess we can count that today. If it's at 12:30, it's at lunchtime. I could bring my lunch while we're doing the press conference, and that would count, I guess, if that's what you'd like, Paulie. Let's see. Let's see here. Oh, there were a couple of fans that wanted him fired and things like that. So yeah, I think it has been a good enough season. So yeah, some of those saying that it was kind of spiraling out of control. Yeah, there's plenty of dumb takes on social media. And believe me, I've got plenty more bookmarked for a win tomorrow. And if they could do some damage down in Las Vegas, because there were folks wanting firings and demanding changes, or they're not buying tickets anymore and all this kind of stuff. It's been quite the year of hot takes on social media. And many of them are, as usual, proving to be wrong. Let's see what else we got here. How much heads up did you want? You had a week notice. Yeah, like I said, I don't have a major issue with it. It makes sense to me. You want to sell courtside seats and make more money on it. I actually don't have a problem with that. It's a little disappointing, but I get it. Like, and as Prater said, no one's going to feel sorry for the media. You're getting there in for free. You're getting free free sodas, whatever. It is what it is. So I'm not really necessarily complaining about the actual fact that you moved us. It would have just been nice to give us a heads up. And they didn't give us a heads up, Rob. They told the schools, and one of the schools leaked it to Jeff Grammer. And then Mark Ziegler confirmed it. And then I confirmed it with Boise State also. So they still haven't told us. The Mountain West did not tell us that they were changing the seats. They told the schools. And then the schools, one of the schools, I guess, told Jeff Grammer or told Mark Ziegler or something. And that's how it came out. So a little heads up, little courtesy. I said it on Twitter. Boise State moved us off courtside a couple years ago, and they had the year before, the entire season before, let us try out the new area, told us about it, explained it to us. It made a lot of sense, and nobody had any issues with it. If the Mountain West had just said, hey, we can sell these for a lot more money, we're going to put you in a nice spot over here in the corner, nothing's going to change, and we, this is what we decided to do, then I don't think anybody would have had a major problem with it. But when Jeff Grammer and Mark Ziegler, two guys that have been covering this league for 13 plus years, both went as strong as they did on social media about it, I think that kind of tells you all you need to know from that aspect. But hey, we had the NFL Combine in the books. Our man Adam Engroff was at the Combine. We're going to get a recap on the NFL Scouting Combine. Taylon Green, the big story, obviously. Cage Casey. If you have any questions or thoughts on the Combine, you can get that in, and we'll get to that here in just a second. But I want to thank Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate, #1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley. Matt Bauscher and Bauscher Real Estate. Check them out at BauscherRealEstate.com. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, Matt Bauscher has you covered at BauscherRealEstate.com. Signature Roofing, if you need a new roof, you need to hit up Signature Roofing, mysignatureroofing.com, covering our community for more than 2 decades. Whether it's a re-roof, a repair, an estimate, or an inspection, Signature Roofing online at mysignatureroofing.com. If you need a new fence, Element Fencing has you covered. Decks, pergolas, fences, cedar, wrought iron, vinyl. Brady and his company are ready to help you build your project from the ground up. 25 plus years, family-owned fencing company, and the craftsmanship is unmatched. And they'll give you a great price. They'll get your work done in a timely manner. If you're on the fence about that next fencing project, now's the time. Element Fencing online, elementfencing.com. Hey, Ridley's Family Markets, shop ridleys.com. If you're looking for just that hometown grocery store feel, don't want to deal with the big, national chains, Ridley's Family Markets is where you need to go. Love that Kuna location. Shop ridleys.com. They got 13 locations across the state of Idaho. Visit one now. Get more information at shopridleys.com. Rowpaint.com, 20% off those winter painting projects at rowpaint.com. Rowpaint.com, your winter painting projects, they're ready to help you out. The weather's starting to warm up here. Perfect time to get that exterior siding touched up. Hit them up at rowpaint.com. And TCS, Transportation Compliance Service, looking for a new job. You can get into the trucking industry every step of the way. They're ready to help you out at Transportation Compliance Service. DOT, overweight, all the permits and things you need. Transportation Compliance Service. And I think I already talked about the Blue and Orange Store, but if not, the blueandorangestore.com. Best selection, the best prices. You need that Boise State gear. Get out to the Blue and Orange Store. They got you covered. And the official in-venue provider of Boise State merchandise, the Blue and Orange Store, online at theblueandorangestore.com. You can visit the Boise Town Square Mall location where they have 14,000 hats on the hat wall, and you can get those customized jerseys at the Blue and Orange Store location there at the Allen Noble Hall of Fame. All right, checking out some of the comments here, but we'll get back to Paulie Pepperoni. Never seen somebody more excited for Boise State to lose so they can jump on a YouTube chat than Paulie Pepperoni. So we'll get back to your tweets. Keep them coming, Paulie. We'll get back to them here shortly. But going to talk NFL scouting combine with our man Adam Engroff. He was talked to us right before leaving for the combine last week. You made the trip. You're back. Appreciate you for joining us. 27 years working for the Miami Dolphins in the scouting department, and you had to keep your combine streak alive. So congratulations on that. But welcome back, man. How was the experience?
It was unique, not having to be there for 7-8 days like usual, and sitting on the other side of it. Spent a lot more time with agents and media than I ever have before, and had a few meetings with some NFL teams, some colleges, and see where that takes us. But good event as usual. The weather was good for most of the week, and then I guess when I left, it turned bad. So that's always a positive when you get some nice weather in Indianapolis this time of year.
There you go. Well, the story at least here was Taylon Green and putting up a record-setting combine performance. I know we had talked last week about whether or not he'd get looked at as a wide receiver and all the different things there. And I don't even remember which day we actually talked in terms of I don't think he had already run and put up those numbers, but record-setting numbers like never before seen at the combine. What did you make? Because that's never really been the issue with him. He's always been the freakish athlete. It's always been more of some of the football, the accuracy and the decision making, and some of that. What'd you think of his performance, and what do you think of his stock right now as an NFL quarterback?
Yeah, obviously he blew it out of the water. He was outstanding, and he really showed off the athleticism that he's had since he was here at Boise State. So I was at that workout that day. You know, the running, the jumping, it's all super impressive. Throwing the football, he looked a lot better, but that's going to be the big question mark for him. We talked about it before, him being in a offense that suits his skill set, where he can where he doesn't have to throw on time as much, and put the ball in an exact spot where he can use his legs, and then get out of the pocket and make throws on the move. That's where he'll need to go. But obviously he helped himself a lot. The NFL is going to be very intrigued. Everybody, every scout's going to be intrigued with the arm strength, the speed, the size. So he really helped himself, and I think someone's going to take a shot on him and knowing that he's going to be a developmental type player.
Yeah, I mean the physical tools and just the appearance, it's all there, and I really hope he can, because he's an exciting player if he can get an opportunity. What'd you make of Cage Casey? I know the numbers were, I would say, good, not great. So there was some mixed reaction to some of the 40 time and some of that. What'd you make, and what'd you kind of hear of what Cage Casey did?
You kind of hit it right on the head. It is good, not great. I don't think he did anything to hurt himself. I don't think he also did anything elite to separate himself, to move up. So I think he's kind of status quo, and he's just going to have to let his tape speak for itself. And again, I don't think he came out of that like, oh man, I struggled there. He did good. all his numbers were good. They just weren't like eye popping, but they weren't eye popping on the negative side either. So he kind of stayed, steady in his draft grade.
So what would you think about him coming to a pro day? Would he rerun or redo anything to try to make it better, or was it good enough that he's just going to let all that sit?
That's up to him and his agent. Now, if he came in his training and he was doing something, running 5 flat and then ran slow, and he thought he could improve all his stuff from the combine, then I could see him working out at the pro day. I don't think he will, and he'll probably just work out for position coaches who will be there to work him out, and Mason Randolph as well, the center.
Anybody else? I know someone here says Chris Johnson, the San Diego State DB, will be the first player taken in the Mountain West. Many experts say he'll be a Miami Dolphin. I guess well, there you go, Miami Dolphin. But any other just guys, whether it's Mountain West or West Coast or Boise State, or I guess just anybody in general, that you came away really impressed with at the combine, or just guys that you're maybe weren't following that will be now here moving forward, or just any positive stories from the combine?
What kind of stood out on the running back day is the speed that all these guys ran at and their size. So, not any big surprise here. The player I was most impressed with was Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame. I thought his workout was sensational to throw on to his. I think he ran a 4.36 or something, 4.38, but his position workout. He even worked out and did extra reps as a wide receiver, and it was very impressive. So, that's not really a sleeper. The San Diego State corner, Chris Johnson, did run faster than expected, so that's going to help him. No one questioned his ball skills or instincts or toughness. He had a ton of production at San Diego State. There was some concern that he wasn't elite fast, but he ran well, so that should help his stock.
I mean, we talked about it with Ashton Genty. I mean, but with Love, and now a lot of people are trying to. I know there's prisoner of the moment, and you see a guy work out, you see some tape, whatever, and then you forget about similar things being said the year before. But where, like, if Love and Genty were coming out like in the same draft, where like what range would a guy? I mean, how close are they?
I think they would be 1-2, 2-1, just depending on what you like. Both, obviously, I'm very biased towards Ashton. I love the person. Jeremiah Love is a bigger person, a bigger human, taller, more accomplished in the pass game. And I think, Ashton never ran, but I don't think he's as fast as Jeremiah. But both great players. You could probably just pick your poison, which player you'd like to go with. So you can't go wrong with either one of them, in my opinion. Two of the best backs that have come out in, a long time, Ashton and Jeremiah.
Adam Engroff, our guest, 27 years in the scouting department, executive with the Miami Dolphins, joining us here on BNN. What about the quarterback position? We talked, I think, last week about Mendoza not throwing, wanted to throw at pro day for some of his receivers to get some extra looks on them as well. But what'd you come away with? We mentioned Green, but what else stood out at the quarterback spot?
I think the two or three other guys that, this is just throwing a football. So, everybody can look good throwing a football, but when the game comes on, I thought the three guys that stood out throwing the football were Ty Simpson from Alabama, who we all know. Carson Beck threw the ball very well. He's a big guy, looks the part, and he can really throw a football. He looked like an NFL quarterback throwing the football. And then the Penn State quarterback, Drew Lar, who from the Fiesta Bowl last year, who played very well against Boise State and was injured this year. He came back from his injury, and he threw the ball very well. And he also has the size and high makeup. So those are the three guys as far as just throwing the football, showing arm strength, velocity, getting the ball out there and throwing things on time. Those were the three guys that stood out quarterback wise.
Now, what's it like? How quickly these guys get right back to training? How do they kind of regroup with their team and see what needs to be focused on for pro day, or what's kind of the, once the combine's over, what kind of happens now?
Yeah, it kind of depends on, we talk about the athlete. It kind of depends on what the player's going to do. If he's going to work out at his pro day, and like we were talking, if Cage wants to come back and try to improve his numbers, he'll stay with the training, the underwear Olympics, as I call it, as far as the speed testing, the shuttles. They'll continue to do that. The guys that are happy with their times, they're done doing that. Most likely they'll never have to do a lot of those shuttles and jumps ever again in their career. So now you focus on getting in football shape and getting ready to do position workouts. And then some players will be, whisked around the country on visits to teams. Again, these are more in-depth job interviews where questions need to be answered by the teams, where they'll fly them to their facility. This is not a workout or anything like that. This is really just a job interview on site, just to get more information on the prospect, whether it be medically, on an injury, on their learning ability, or just getting to know the person in general, as a person.
And teams can bring in 30 players?
Yes, each NFL team gets 30 players. So the Dolphins, we kind of varied it up where we brought in guys who we had concerns about a past knee injury or shoulder injury where our doctors wanted to spend more time on it, or we brought in guys who were concerned about learning a complicated office. So we spend offense or defense, we'd spend all day with them trying to install a game plan and see if they could regurgitate it back to us. And sometimes you just didn't know the kid very well, or he had some off the field problems that you want to get more clarity on. And then the other thing we also did it for is guys that didn't go to the combine. You don't have a physical on them, so you want to bring them in and say you still have them high on your draft board. You don't want to draft someone you don't have a physical on, because it's like buying a car without knowing it's Carfax or whatever. So there's a whole litany of things you can bring a person in for a 30 visit. But it's not a workout where you're working out in their facility. It is on campus, like a recruiting trip.
And how many visits is there any cap on how many visits the player could take, or could he theoretically go to every team if they wanted to bring him in?
Yeah, as many as his schedule can fit. Usually right after the combine or even during the combine, you'll book a guy and his dance card might be pretty full. So, and then, they might have to crisscross across the country back and forth. So some guys are just flying all over the place the last, weeks of March and early weeks of April. So it can be a little bit of a grind on them. And again, those are guys that have the question marks on them we talked about. I listed off. And a lot of the times a very good player that just happened not to go to the combine, he'll have maybe 10, 12, even 15 visits sometimes.
So how many visits, how many private workouts, based on the range he's going to be at, how much interest in those kind of things do you think a guy like Cage Casey is going to have?
I don't think Cage is going to have a lot of visits, in the fact that he's a pretty clean prospect. He doesn't have problems learning. He's a great kid. Everybody knows he's a great kid. Everybody knows he's a hard worker. He hasn't had major injuries. So I don't think he's going to have a ton of them. You kind of, what you see is what you get from him. There's not a lot of question marks about the person or your injury history. So I don't think he's going to have a ton of them. Again, the visits are more for question mark guys, where you got to, fill in the blanks on a lot of your questions.
So when do the pro days kind of start then, and how busy does it now get for guys in your profession?
It'll start up next week. I'm looking over at the calendar right now. The third week of March will be really busy. The 16th through the 20th, that'll be a full slate of college pro days. 23rd through the 27th is going to be a full slate. And then that last week of few days of March, 1st of April. And then it's kind of shut down after the first week of April.
Well, hey, man, appreciate your time. Thanks a lot for coming on, and we always appreciate your insight, and looking forward to continuing this as we get closer to Pro Day here at Boise State in a couple of weeks, and obviously the draft coming up, man. It's pretty cool to talk to somebody that was actually at the combine and has a on field report for us there. So appreciate you as always for coming on, and we'll do it again next week, man.
All right, happy to help. Feel
Thank
better.
You. Yep, appreciate it. Thanks a lot, man. I've muted this thing to cough about 10 times, even in this 15 minutes. So appreciate you, Adam. There he is, Adam Engroff, nice enough to join us here on Bronco Nation News. And what a resource to have somebody that lives in the Treasure Valley and was at the combine and doing some of the things that he was just doing last week and has done in his career here to help us out. So we really appreciate that. So, by the way, Paulie Pepperoni, you're asking some questions about Leon Rice's Mountain West tournament record. Doing a little research here on the fly, the Mountain West record for Leon Rice in the Mountain West tournament. So if you want to go the last 4 years, Paulie, they're 6-3. 6-3 in the last 4 years. In 2022, they won the tournament, went 3-0. They went 1-1 2024. They went 0-1 in 23. They went 1-1. They went 0-1 in 2024 and 2-1 last year. So actually in 2 of the last 4 years, they've made the championship game. I think a 50% championship game rate's not bad. They've done that in the last 4 years, and they are 6-3 in the last 4 tournaments. If you want to go further back, went 3 more years back, the last 7 tournaments, they're 8-6. In the last 7 Mountain West tournaments, they're 8-6, and they've won at least 1 game in 5 of the last 6 years in the tournament. So I think that early in his career, he had lost the first round game. As you know, they had lost the first round game couple times there early in his career. But I think that Leon Rice hasn't done well in the Mountain West tournament, can't win in the tournament. That kind of has gone away. That shouldn't really be talked about much. I mean, he's, as I said, 6-3 in the tournament the last 4 years, 8-6 the last 7 years in the Mountain West tournament. So I don't, here we go. Aztecs love to ha ha ha. 0-5. 0-5 is the NCAA tournament record there. So please explain how, Paulie. I get so much joy in the morning listening to Paulie Pepperoni with some of his comments here. I kind of agree with you here, Jordan. I mean, there's a pretty drastic when the stretch started where they started adding to the charter. That was a funny one. Like you'd bring up charter flights, you bring up some of the stuff, and people are like, "Oh, how does that impact things?" Charter flights. Like I think the year they added the charter flights, the regular season. I mean, they used to fly commercially almost every game. The year they added all the charter flights, I believe that very next year was 2022 when they won the tournament. Like a lot of this stuff does matter and does add up. But I would bet if you looked the last 7 years, 8-6 in the conference tournament, won multiple games in 2 of the last 4 years, won at least 1 game in 5 of the last 6 tournaments. Has it been great success in the tournament? No. No. All right. I don't know what you're talking about. Are you counting the Gonzaga years, Aztec Mike? He's been at Boise State 16 years. Last year, I contest they should have made the tournament. You had North Carolina, who went like 1-14 in quad 1 games, getting in because their Bubba Cunningham was on the committee, and that's why North Carolina got in last year. That was kind of like that they should have been 4 in a row. They should have got in last year, but no, if you want to count his Gonzaga record, sure, it's better than that. But he's only been at Boise State 16 years. The program is 0-10. Everyone likes to point that out. Leon's only 0-5. I 8-6 the last 7 years, 6-3 the last 4. Is that great? I would say, I literally just said that. Yes, that is, you can listen. Yes, that is correct. I would say 6-3 in the last 4 is pretty good. So I wouldn't say 8-6 is great. 8 wins in 7 years, but Stu Morrill 1-9. There you go, Jordan. But I would say that I think he's kind of taken that overall large stigma, can't win in Vegas. That I think that's largely now gone, or should be. When the last 4 years you're 6-3, and you've made the championship game twice in the last 4 years. But they do have some work to do. They're going to have to go 4-0 this year. And that certainly would be quite the accomplishment if they could win 4 games in this year's tournament. But I would say, they've some of those issues they've had in terms of the Mountain West tournament. They've moved past some of that, no doubt. But it'll take quite the run this year. And tomorrow's game is going to have a massive say in the seeding. If Boise State can win the game, get to the 6th seed, you have a much, much more desirable, I'm not going to say easy, but a much more desirable path to maybe get to play New Mexico and San Diego State, 2 teams you're 3-1 against, versus, you lose the game, you're the 8th seed, then you would have to play Utah State, in the quarterfinals. So we'll see what happens next week. I'm sure the second they lose, we'll get Paulie Pepperoni and our friends to jump on board and say, "Told you so, horrible season, Leon's got to go." I'm sure we'll be hearing that the second they lose in the Mountain West tournament next week, and we'll be ready for it. But maybe they've got another magical run in them, and we'll wait and see. But it's been a very up and down season, and they're on an up stretch right now. And we'll see. I think tomorrow's game is going to tell us a lot about where this team is at. Even if they lose the game, I don't think. I don't think I'm going to feel largely different if they're blown out tomorrow, maybe. But, I mean, Colorado State's won 8 in a row. Colorado State's favored to win the game tomorrow. They're supposed to win the game tomorrow. So if they do, I'm not going to, on the post-game show, probably come on and say that they're, done, or, that all of a sudden the season's over. I mean, they've been trending in the the right direction for the last month. It's been kind of a up and down, but they're trending up. And so unless they're blown out by 25 points tomorrow, nothing tomorrow is really going to probably change much of the thinking for me other than the seeding. And a loss means you have a tougher path, which is going to make it tougher. But in terms of how the team is playing, I think that overall, largely they're trending in the right direction. But if you find a way to get a win tomorrow and help that seed and go and do, as the hottest team in the conference into the tournament on a 5-game winning streak, it's going to be really exciting going down to Vegas. So can't wait to get to Fort Collins tomorrow. Can't wait to get to Vegas next week. It's going to be a fun time. And we do have you covered every step of the way at BroncoNationNews.com. 50% off right now. Our annual subscriptions, BroncoNationNews.com. I wrote a feature story on Max Teams, who handles the video replay reviews, has worked his way up from a student manager all the way up to now an assistant coach. And you can read that story on Max Teams and kind of an unknown guy behind the bench at BroncoNationNews.com. You can read Mike Prater's column on Drew Fielder. About to post a story from Nathan Carroll on Cage Casey and some of what his numbers mean in terms of the draft and things like that. So a lot of fresh content coming. Great time of year to subscribe. BroncoNationNews.com. 50% off right now at BroncoNationNews.com. With our annual sale going on, just go to join VIP and click the yearly subscription. So would love to have you subscribe. And no, it is the same 24/7 BroncoNationNews.com subscription that we'd like to have you join. You can join the 24/7 sports family. If you subscribe to BroncoNationNews.com, you also get access to read the other message boards and a lot of the other content on the 24/7 boards and things like that. Are you just saying this, or are you sure about that? That would be awesome if it was, but I heard Las Vegas for that, so I would love that. It'd be great for me if you heard something on that. I would love that. Would love to go to San Diego for Pac-12 Media Days, but all I've heard is that's going to be something in Las Vegas. Let's see what else we got. I'm sure you tweeted that also to Jeff Grammer and to Mark Ziegler as well, because they were the ones that actually initially tweeted about it first. So again, it is what it is. I think the Mountain West could have let us know, could have given us a heads up, but I don't blame them for doing it. I mean, you want to make money, you want to sell courtside seats. I have no problem with them actually doing that. It's a business, and they got to make money any way they can at the conference tournament. If they can sell those seats down by the court for more money, I'll be very curious to see how many of them are full. Let's see how many of them are full. Are they going to have every courtside seat full for every game in that tournament? I can't wait. Thanks, Sky. You can have my seat. I'll sit at the top. I appreciate that. No, if those seats are empty, we might just go sit in the courtside seats anyway. If no one's, who's going to stop us? I guess. I don't know if we don't have a ticket, but if we have a press pass, if the seats are empty, maybe we'll just go sit down in those seats anyway. So, yeah, I'm not that worried about it. I know some of the older, more veteran reporters are making a bigger deal about it. That's my question. I don't know if they are. I thought Mark Ziegler's comment about the all for a $895 ticket, all for cold chicken wings and to watch a one bid league tournament, I thought was a hilarious comment. I literally laughed out loud for like 5 minutes. So I don't know if they're going to sell those seats. $895, I believe, is what it costs for that seat for the whole tournament. I have no idea if they're going to be able to sell those or not. My guess, especially on that first day on Wednesday, is that most of those are going to be wide open. And that is going to be a bad look on TV as well, seeing just empty seats courtside. Again, I don't blame them for doing it if they can sell, and then if they can make some extra money. A little heads up, it would have just been nice to tell the media, I think, ahead of time, than having it leak out to the schools and have the schools have one of the schools accidentally tell them, and however it kind of leaked out. To this point, the conference hasn't even really told us about it. So that was my only concern with it. But appreciate you guys for checking us out. Again, go subscribe, BroncoNationNews.com. Tons of content coming throughout the day. We'll get you ready for the game tomorrow. Heading down to Boise State to do some interviews here with Leon Rice and some players shortly. We'll get all that posted to our YouTube channel. And looking forward to the next week or so. Going to be a very busy week, very fun week. Looking forward to it. And as always, we'll have you covered on Bronco Nation News, BroncoNationNews.com. No, the tournament this year is, as it usually is, CBS Sports Network. But I believe the quarterfinal games, and I'll have to check to see if we can air that quarterfinal game. But the first quarterfinal round is only on the Mountain West Network, so I need to check into that actually. But the first round on Wednesday, that first Wednesday game, is only going to be on the Mountain West Network, and then it'll be CBS Sports Network the next couple of days. CBS Sports Network. Can I update my seat through Boise State to sit courtside? Maybe. Check with Boise State, check with the Mountain West. I don't know how that works. I apologize. I have no details on that, but I know I want to say it's like $900 a ticket or something, but you get every game of the whole tournament, one of the courtside, cushy seats. So I don't know all the details on that. I apologize. So appreciate you guys for watching the show. Hit the like button here. Hit the subscribe button on YouTube on your way out. Go subscribe at BroncoNationNews.com. Check out all of our content there. You can keep this discussion going in our message boards. We have free message boards at BroncoNationNews.com. You can chat with BSU insiders and others in the message boards. We have our VIP insiders board where you get more of your inside information, and we enjoy spending some of our day over there in the message board. So have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you tomorrow at 1 o'clock from Moby Arena in Fort Collins. 1 o'clock tomorrow live from Moby Arena in Fort Collins, as is typically the case. Bronco Nation News, the only local non-BSU affiliated outlet heading to Fort Collins tomorrow to cover the game. You have Bob and Abe on the radio side. Obviously, they'll be there, but no newspapers, no TV stations, just BNN covering the game for you. So we'll see you at 1 p.m. live to give you an exclusive look of warm-ups. We'll have Abe Jackson. We'll have interviews, all kinds of pregame analysis. We will show you and all of that. And we look forward to getting over to Fort Collins and having a fun game tomorrow. So should be fun. Can't wait. Big one for Boise State for the seeding. Big one for the Mountain West standings, and for mojo and momentum and the path, going into the conference tournament next week. So appreciate you guys for joining us. Have a great rest of your day. And as I said, 1 p.m. tomorrow, we'll see you from Moby Arena. Go subscribe, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bronco Nation News online, BroncoNationNews.com. Take care, everybody.